Hi there. Today we're going to see how to display a flow when we close one and close last. We are going to display two different type of flows in a pop-up, and the flow should also close after we finish. So here's an example. So I have this state here. So if I close now, and if I start to close one, I should see a pop-up. So I see the message that updated from Salesforce, and also I see this pop-up here where we can get the feedback because it was a close one, and this pop-up and this flow here is different. So we have the additional opportunity here, and the rating here is sideways. So let's just put something here and submit. And as you can see, the flow close and redirect to the opportunity feedback, which I just created, right, with the information that I just filled out. So what we are going to do now, if you go back to the flow, and let's delete the record because it's one of the rules that if we have the record, we don't show the pop-up anymore. And also if we go back here and set that to negotiate, so if we change that again, and select another stage and say that's closed lost, I should say different pop-up. So, and I'm saying, so here I have a different pop-up, different message, and I don't have the additional product that the customer could be interested. And also the rating here is on vertical here, right? So let me submit that, and as you can see, it's redirect. I could redirect to any other page, but right now I'm just redirect to the record that's being created. So that's what we're going to see on this video here, how to set up this and how to set up a flow into EvoluteMessage. So, okay, so let's start. So I'm gonna change the org. So you move to another org. So I have this org here. The only thing I have set up here is a new object. It's a custom object, opportunity feedback. And opportunity feedback, I just have the fields that I need for the two different type of flows. I did create a close one here, but we are going to do together the close last flow for you to see how I set up. But I'm not going to repeat that. We could repeat that for a close one, but it's the same thing. Okay, so let me create a new flow. Let's start. And I don't have any message so far. So let's go back here and create a new flow. And as I said, this is gonna be the opportunity feedback close lost. So we just need a display text, we need a title, we need a radio button actually for the rating, and then we need a text field for the title, a long text area for the details. So let's get that. I'm gonna get the text from the previous here. Close lost, so let me get that text. Okay. Here needed text, and then here rating. It's a radio button. You don't need to create a choice. Choice is gonna be a pick list choice set, and then here's gonna call rating choice set, and then the information, we are going to get that information from the opportunity feedback, from the pick list that we have, and the pick list is called rating on that object. The order is going to be this, and when I click done, it should show here. So we go to next and put here title, and it's a text field, and then we go in details. Oops. Text field, details. And then that's it. So if someone lost, they would see this, if the opportunity is lost, so we would see this information here. We don't need this information below. We do need to change the next button here to a submit, and we don't need to see the previous button, and also we don't need to see the pause button. So here it is. That's our flow. So save, and now we are going to create the records. So create opportunity feedback close lost, right? So we are going to choose the feedback, opportunity feedback, and then here we are going to add the fields that we have on the opportunity. So we do want the tail, which we do have the text detail. We do have there the title. So we are going to put the title. We do have the rating. So we are going to put the rating. Another thing we need on the opportunity feedback here. So this opportunity feedback does have a lookup to the opportunity, right? Because I want to link the feedback to the opportunity in my case. So let's say I do want the opportunity. Now the question is, what is the ID that we're going to put here? Because we don't have. So the ID that we would put here is from the opportunity that the customer is on the page. So we have to create a new variable here. So let's create a variable. And what is the API name here? So this API name here has to be a specific name that the EvoluteMessage pop-up sends to the flow. So how do I get that information? So I need to go here, create add new message, and I will choose flow. If I go back here to my flow, double click, and then if I say here when flow starts, I do explain here what does it mean. But I'm gonna go straight here, click on show, and get this variable here. So Control C on this variable. You can type, that variable is always the same. We always send this variable here, and we get this variable from the page that the user is currently. So that's the variable. Once you set that, and so that we are telling here the flow that we are creating this variable. That's the name of the variable, and the variable is an input. So we say done. So now when we create the opportunity feedback, we are going to get all the fields from the flow, and also we are going to set the ID of the opportunity from the page that we are. Another thing I want to do is redirect the user to the record I just created. And in order to do that, we do need to send the ID to the EvoluteMessage. So we do need to create another variable that's going to be an output. So we set variable here and we say new record ID. Okay, so I'm going to copy this because we're going to use soon. So text, and that's going to be, as I say, an output. So if you don't need to redirect to the page, you don't need to set this. If you don't need to create link the current page to the record, you don't need to set up this variable either. This is an option, and on the EvoluteMessage, you have the option to enable or disable to send, and you have the option here to not use the next variable here. Okay, so here's the opportunity. The opportunity is going to be created. So we are going to set the opportunity feedback is going to be created. We are going to set the opportunity with the ID that we are sending, and we are going to do an output here. So that is done, our flow. So let's say here it's a feedback, opportunity, feedback, close lost. Okay, so I'm going to activate here. Okay, so now I'm going to set up my flow as I was creating flow here. So let me refresh this. So I have my flow here, opportunity feedback close lost. Now I do want to send the ID because I set up my flow to receive that ID. I also want, when the flow finished, I want to close the message, and I want to not stay in the same message, same page. I want to redirect for the record I just created. So I'm going to click here. So it brings me here a URL. I could put anything here in the beginning, anything here actually, and I also could put a URL and then set up an ID like this. So any variable that you do an output, we can get, and we can put in the URL if you want. But in our case here, we just want to go to the record that we just created. But we are not using this ID here, right? When we set up the flow, we use a different name. So let's use this name here. So let me copy that, and that has to be an output, so the EvoluteMessage can get that. And let's put here. Okay, so our flow is done. Our flow does have a, let's go back here. Our flow does have a title and the bottom here, so we don't need from the EvoluteMessage the header and the bottom here. So I think we are good here. So let me say opportunity close last. Okay, so let me create another message for the opportunity close one. So we also don't have that, and also it's gonna follow the same thing. Feedback, that's what I created before. I don't remember the ID that I did. So which one is the key? Which one is this? So that's the one. So so the ID is this. So let me go back to my message, redirect to new record, let me paste here, and that's it. So feedback, click outside. Okay, so now I have my two message here. One for close one, one for close loss. So let's go to the opportunity now. Do I have here? No. No. So let me go to sales. And let me go to, where's the opportunity? It's here. Let me get, should pretend that we can change the status. So let me set this here to negotiate review. Now let me add my components. So I'm gonna add the page. I need to see this. So I'm gonna drag and drop. So you can drag and drop any place this message. Salesforce just needs some time to load. So I'm gonna drag and drop the two components here because we have two messages to display. So one is close one, so we don't need to show that on the builder. I do need the auto refresh here because if I change that, I don't want the component refresh. So that is close one. So the next one here is close last. I don't need to show that here in the builder. Auto refresh, save, and I don't need to activate that because this org is new, so I haven't done any change here. So let me make that available. Just custom page to desktop and phone and mobile, and then save. So now I have my two message here. So if I go back here, I should see the two message because I didn't put any filter. So I can see the close loss here. It's great because it's loading. And I also, if I click outside, I can see the feedback opportunity close one. But I don't want to see both, right? So I do need to put some logic to when the message should show. So that's why here we are going to use the data source, the powerful data source. So here on the data source is I load when opportunity feedback, load when opportunity has opportunity feedback. So this data source here is going to bring a record when we have an opportunity feedback. So that's one of the filters we want. So here we have to go to the opportunity feedback. That's it here. And I want to find the opportunity, which means that, so we are going to load this data source here when we have an opportunity feedback for that opportunity. And then basically after I'm going to add a filter saying when there's a record here, I don't want to show the message because it means that the user have give a feedback already, and I don't want to display the message anymore. So that's one of the filters. So the other filter I have to do is for the two stages. So load record when opportunity is lost. So here I'm gonna create opportunity, and then I do want to get the load opportunity from the record ID from the page.am, and here the stage is gonna be close lost, right? So, and now I have to do another one for close win. So let me do that. Load opportunity and it is closing, close one. So it is opportunity, it's the object, and then here I'm gonna add another criteria that when the stage is close one, so I should load the record here. Okay, so I have my data source. So now I'm gonna go to the message. So for the opportunity close one, so let me add the filter here. So click on filter, and then I'm gonna say when show the message when this one is the close one. So when we do have a record that's close one, so any object here that returns, we should show the message. And another criteria is data source load when opportunity has opportunity feedback. So when we do load here, we don't want to show. So we are going to set here to empty. This any object that are empty. So this data source should always be empty for me in order to show the message. So that's what I want to do. So I can publish that. So now I'm going to configure the same thing for the other one, close lost, filter. So data source, close lost. So I do need a record here. And here, if I do have a record, I should not load. So that's it. So now if you go back to the opportunity here, as you guys could see before, it was loading my message all the time. So now if I refresh, I should not see any message. And I'm not seeing any message because the status here, it's not, none of the status that I have set up on the data source. Even though I do not have records on the opportunity feedback, so one of the data source is returning true. The logic here is returning true, but the status is not. So if I change here and close one, so I should see the one feedback, and that's what I'm seeing. That's great. So let me put anything here. So also if I refresh, I should see the feedback again, because again, so the status here is close one, and I don't have any record here. So let's go here. Let's say here and submit. So now it did redirect me to the opportunity feedback as we set up. So now if I go back to the opportunity again, I'm not going to see any pop-up here because technically I do have a record here. So let me see, because you're seeing it's like says for did not refresh. Okay, now it says for didn't refresh. Okay, and I don't see the pop-up here, so which is great. So now let's test the close lost to see if the pop-up shows. So let me set up that here, and if I refresh here, I will not see, and then if I change to close lost, I'm not going to see any message because I I didn't delete the existing record before, right? So as you can see, I didn't see any pop-up. If I refresh, I don't see any pop-up. So let me go back here, set this to true, because remember, I have two logics. One if there's a record, and another logic is if the status changed. So in this case, I did have a record. Now, if I change my status to close lost, so I should see the lost feedback. So that's great. So now I have a flow that I can see both feedback. And I think that's what this video wants to show. You can do many other logics. Another thing you can do that I show on the other pop-up is how to style. Because the flows are inside of our message, so let me see, first does not refresh. So let me refresh here. So let me delete that. And now let me, so because I don't have a record, so I should see the pop-up. So let's say I want to change the style of this rating here, right? So usually it would be nice if that it's horizontal. So let me, one thing we can do, we can search for this guy here. So if I test here, this is more a little bit advanced because we are changing Salesforce style, and if you put flex here, okay, so that would change. So that would do the trick here. So how do we do that now? So we got this SS here because that is inside of our message. So we can specify only for this flow here. And how we can do that? So if you go to our message, which message is this? Cost lost. So that's the one. So we go here to style, and then we go here and we put this here and put a dot here and put the same thing, display flex. This live here, it means that when we load, we are going to put this message specific code before. So any other message would not change. Only this message would change. So this is very important to put there. But remember, if Salesforce changed this class here, this CSS is not going to work anymore. Just remember that. So that's another trick here. So now if I reload my page, I should see the message here. So great. Now it's better, I think. It's a better design here. Okay, I hope that helps a lot of people. One thing I would like to say is if you have any feedback, please go to our website and give us any comment, any feedback. I would appreciate. Also, if you want to read more about any documentation, you can go here to documentation, and we have flow message here where I put a lot of details here on how to do it. And so I'm going to put some tutorials here of other flows. Yeah, thank you very much, and that's it.